Now, Eyewitness Sports.
All right, Double O.T. playoff edition, New England Nation.
We didn't think we'd be doing our playoff edition so soon.
I know, in the wild card round, Maury is off today. So, yeah, you've been in Florida. I was previously in Florida. Here we are. We have a wild card game 2 days away. You're back.
Well, we were both planning on a little bye week situation.
I know.
So the
It's
Patriots
been a decade. So they're all settled, getting ready to go. Game is on Saturday.
I was thinking about this today because we got video of them painting the field wild card weekend.
Yeah.
And like those words have not been painted on that field
Since January of 2010.
2010.
So if you do everyone's doing the decade thing. Like,
Yeah.
Here I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I guess the Pats were, they were 10 years ago. In the
or are
wild
they
card
going backwards? And
we'll discuss all of that. Tom Brady spoke obviously today. Not one single Titan-specific question.
I love it. Logan Ryan. There's the Logan Ryan question about Edelman and his battles back when he was a Patriot.
Terrible question.
I'm sure it was like an
but
angle.
everyone wants to talk about Tom Brady's future. Obviously, last year of his contract, everyone's been sort of non-committal. So we'll start with that. Is this Tom Brady's farewell tour?
So farewell tour is like an interesting way to phrase it because are you saying the farewell tour? Usually a farewell tour is they announce they're retiring before the season, and then everywhere they go is like a goodbye Brady
situation.
It's
all right, we're breaking up as a band, and here's our farewell tour.
Sure. Are these his final days as a Patriot? I know that there are a lot of reasons to point in that direction. However, I just don't see it happening. I don't see he is a Patriot next year. I think he continues to play. I don't think he's going to retire.
What if the Pats are like, I don't know, Tom, you weren't that great this year and you're rather expensive. What if they give him some lowball offer?
And he's like, all right, I'll go play for Josh McDaniels.
Wherever the hell that is. And he's going to go.
So what I think is interesting about the Tom Brady contract situation is there's so much frustration surrounding him and his building a rapport with receivers that maybe weren't very good or aren't at the caliber of where people are saying, hey, we're going to put you in a position where you can succeed. So he's frustrated, I think, in that regard. Obviously, he wanted Antonio Brown on the team. He wanted a Mohamed Sanu or whatever, Emmanuel Sanders. So now here he is, and he's frustrated, and he's not having quote-unquote fun. So if you're going to go to play for a new team, you're going to have to build rapport with all new guys. You got to go to OTAs. You got to do those things to be able to win and have quote unquote fun. So I just don't necessarily see that happening. He's going to leave Edelman.
He's going to leave Edelman the linchpin to all this.
He's going to leave Edelman. He's going to leave Kraft. He's going to leave New England and where he's comfortable.
Everything is too cushy here with the coach. You have the best coach in the league, an owner who's considered family. His offensive coordinator likely leaving, it seems, Josh McDaniels. It seems like there's a changing of the guard here. I personally am maintaining all along that I think he's coming back either as a 1 year or 2 year deal. But I certainly don't rule out that he would play somewhere else or also retire. He keeps saying, and he's showing frustration, saying, I feel like I'm a broken record. I want to still play.
Yeah.
I want to play till I'm 45. I don't know if that's forcing the hand on the Patriots. I want a new contract. Or if he's literally willing to walk out the door and go to a situation, as you noted, that may not be as ideal as the one he has in New England. But I got to tell you, being in that room today, it was a little eerie because Tommy Curran sort of danced around a question. Are you nostalgic, like putting on the pads last time, going on the field last time, final practice, final game here in New England? And he's like, I'm not a nostalgic guy. And then Tara Sullivan from the Boston Globe asked him point blank, do you think this is your last home game? And he says, I don't really think about those things.
Right. He's obviously not going to answer the question. But those are
along. But this was literally the whole theme of this press conference. And up until this moment, it has never been, the contract questions in training camp, but up until this moment, it has never come to a point where it's a legitimate question. And people chirping me on social media about irresponsibility from the media. Oh, there's a big game coming up. Tom Brady, whether or not he stays or leaves, is far more important and interesting to you, the viewers, than a specific game plan with the Titans, which we've talked about all week.
Sure.
So it was just weird that we were in this bizarro world of talking about the end of Brady's career. But the funny part is, Ruthie, if the Patriots win, next week is it the final practice?
Are we going to just do this the whole run?
Are we going to do it the next year? And that's what happened with Brett Favre all those years with Green Bay and then with the Jets and Vikings. So The Patriots, as I said on the news tonight, made their own bed with this, because if they gave him a contract, this would be a non-issue. And if they make it all the way to the Super Bowl, what is everyone going to talk about then? Oh, right off in the sunset, he retires, or he's done, blah, blah, blah. So,
and he said that at the beginning of the year, remember? Ask Mr. Kraft.
Right.
Ask Mr. Kraft, which I think is also interesting, because why not ask Bill? He's the GM.
Right.
So there's a lot to dissect there. But a lot has happened since training camp, and he's not the jubilant, fun-loving, football-loving Tom Brady. He was in a good mood today. He was in a good mood
listen,
today.
like if you're a Patriot fan, whether you're going to the game or watching it on TV, I would watch it sort
it's
of
gonna be talked about.
remembering where you were. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know. But you don't want to, in hindsight, be like, oh, if I knew that was Tom Brady's last game, I would have gone, had a better party and watched it on my favorite spot on the couch or whatever.
Right.
So,
favorite final home game for him, because regardless of
unless
whether or not they
Houston
get back to the
upsets someone, you know, unless there's upsets in the playoffs.
But regardless, right.
As it stands now, this would be the final
As
game.
it stands now. So our answer to the question is no, we don't believe so. However, there are signs that point in that direction, which I think everyone needs to just consider and talk about and embrace the story.
And the other thing too is, and Tom Brady said, I haven't turned on the TV all week. But when you're asked the question, yeah, obviously you know this is
He's
going on.
prepped by the media people. I'm like, okay, Tom. And you're on Twitter. He loves his little social media. He's on social media. He's getting prepped. He's getting told what he's going to be asked in the press conferences. And I know that some of those reporters.
Well, I think he's so professional at this point, they don't even need to tell him that stuff. Like maybe someone like Belichick, who doesn't literally
doesn't
go
have
on
social
his
media.
phone, is prepped in that regard. But
I'm sure Stacey's sitting there being
hey,
like,
Stacey, they may ask you, Tom, if this is your last game. I think that is unspoken.
Well, I think with the reporters like Tommy Curran and the Karen Gregans, like who have covered Tom his entire career, like they're plugged in. There's a reason they're asking that question, I think. And so I think that's also something to consider.
Onward and upward it goes
Don't
with
cry,
Tom Brady.
Yanni.
All right, what do we have next?
Yanni, can we just take a
Cry?
moment?
What are you talking about?
You're just emosh.
When
Can we take
Tom
a moment
Brady
to talk about? You had
retires, I
a
will be
phenomenal
emosh.
question to Tom Brady today, and I think
thank
he
you.
really respected the question as well, based on his
Want to
response.
hear something funny about that question? That stat came to me from Pat and Willie on our text chain. They're like, have you seen this crazy stat? And then I double checked and it was true.
Shout
I'm
out.
like, you guys are my researchers.
Shout out to your personal assistants, your historians. I just want to take a moment because I was listening to it on Facebook Live. I was here, you were there, and you asked the question, then he kind of gave you that mid-sentence response, like, is that good?
Yeah.
And I could hear in your voice, you really like kind of giggle, like your little boy giggle, like little like 7-year-old Yanni.
I was like,
That's good, Tom. I love how you called him Tom too. It's just
Should I call him
everything
Brady?
was great.
I mean, we're
I
best
just thought
friends.
it was so
Was it like that time you were like, hey, Tom, I went to Michigan. You want to be best friends?
No, that was actually fangirl, but I just literally just gotten here. Literally.
All right, what do we have next?
That's a good question. The mystique.
All right, so I I'm fascinated by big picture stuff.
Yeah.
Past, future. I don't stay in the now like the Patriots. And something I was curious about is like, all right, everyone says this Patriot mystique, 22-3 at home in the playoffs, 30-10 for Brady, blah, 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 blah. So we're always like, and I said this when the Nashville guy interviewed me tonight, it's January, it's Brady, it's Belichick, it's cold,
December.
it's snowy, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But those aren't reasons that you win a football game, right?
Correct.
I mean, it's spooky that they always win here, and the Titans come here, and Ryan Tannehill has, do you know the Pats are 11-0 against first-year playoff quarterbacks? Like someone who's playing their first playoff game.
That's a great start too.
So I'm like, how do you just not rely on all that? Now, obviously, everyone says the past has no relevance to this, but like, I don't know, is Vrabel pumping up these guys enough? Like, hey, I played there. They're not that great. They're not better than you. I mean,
what I think is interesting about, I don't know if the mystique is there this year. They're not playing great football.
They're not playing teams that are better than them either. You
Correct.
know? They're sort of,
they
they
just
are where
lost
they are.
to the Miami Dolphins. So I don't even know if Vrabel needs to do much. And I think a lot of that is in terms of hyping up his guys. And I think a lot of the mystique comes from the demeanor and the mannerisms of the coach. Mike Vrabel's like, I was one. It's not a big deal. I also beat them last year.
Yeah, handily.
And I know their weaknesses. And I know what they do well. And I know how they game plan. And I know how they prep. Similar to Brian Flores.
I hope.
And Chad O'Shea.
if you're a Titans fan, probably 0 people listening to this are, or if you're Mike Vrabel, I hope he's super duper aggressive. Like he pulls the Doug Peterson Eagles Super Bowl. 4th down, go for 2, those types of things you sort of have to do.
Well, that's what Flores tried to do with the fake punt, like right off the bat.
They were doing a lot of that stuff. So yeah, I don't think the Titans are as freaked out by it. Obviously, with the Patriots' struggles this year, but I don't know. I asked Gresh this the other day, can they flip the switch? Remember last year we didn't know what we'd see out of the Chargers game, and they just crushed the Chargers.
Yeah.
I think last year's team was better, offensively at least, so I don't think they can put up that sort of performance. But I think there's a little something to it, right? I think in the back of the Titans' mind, if the crowd is good. The Bills game, the crowd was really good.
Really good.
How was it in Miami? A little flat for Miami?
Little flat. And I think that has to do with the opponent. But even you were saying that the Tennessee media was saying that the team and the players feel a little bit relieved that they don't have to go to Kansas City.
Yeah. Wouldn't you rather play here than KC?
This is the New England Patriots, you know? So that's kind of an interesting tidbit about the mystique that is maybe...
Yeah. All right, next one. Is this a bad matchup? So the Patriots would have had a bye and then presumably had the Chiefs. Now they have the Titans. Obviously, they lost pretty badly last year in Nashville. But one of the reasons we asked this is because the Pats' run D hasn't been all that great. And then Derrick Henry runs for nearly 1,600 yards. They're going to feed him the rock. And then they do the play action thing, and Ryan Tannehill's been much better. Their defense has improved. I mean, all playoff teams are pretty good, but do you not like this matchup?
I don't love it. I think they are the opposite of the Patriots in that they have all the momentum and confidence in their favor right now. Like they've had a
Even though they haven't run the table.
No, but they're improving
better.
and gradually getting better, and I think they're confident. And that is something that obviously the Patriots are going to sit there and tell us that they feel like they're confident and they have the pieces to get back to the Super Bowl. They just have to execute. Well, why haven't you been executing the first 16 games?
Right.
So I just don't know. I just feel like I feel like matchup-wise, Tannehill-wise, I don't think that the Patriots defense is going to play like that again. Yeah. I don't think Stephon Gilmore is going to have a bad game again. He was
defensive today because he got crushed in that Dolphins game.
He held himself accountable after that game, and that was something that I really respected about him, and I think added to his case of just like the level-headed kind of player he is. Like for him to have a perfect season would be bananas.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I wonder if they were like, you know what, Steph, if you're, this is week 17, just be careful out there.
Yeah, I didn't like the whole vibe in that Miami game. But they commit to the run, they gash you, and then they do the play action over the top. And Bill Belichick was saying sometimes they just skip the red zone. They have so many big plays. They're not doing these 13-play drives the Pats do, meticulously going down the field. So they have home run hitters. They can do it with the run game. Listen, I'm not a huge Ryan Tannehill fan. I admit to not watching a ton of him this year because the Titans never play meaningful games or on national TV. I'm usually working, don't have the red zone, or I'm here or at Pat's game.
Yeah.
So he's prone, I guess, to make bad decisions, or the Patriots will entice him to do that.
And there's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah.
Based on his situation. It's a great story. The Titans story this year, I think, is one of the better ones.
2-3 tight end sets. The Pats don't do great against tight ends, so... And then it's if Henry gets past that first level, are you bringing the safeties up or the linebackers you're counting on to control the running game? So
I do wonder.
I
I can't take credit of being a phenomenal defensive analyst of the Patriots, but I do wonder about the effect of Jason McCourty being out.
Yeah,
and the Pats have talked all year about their defensive depth and how versatile they can be and move guys around on the field. But you wonder when you have guys out for a long term, he was balling.
Yeah,
so,
J.C. Jackson probably
still
is less consistent.
Still a young player.
High upside, but gambles.
Terp.
He's a terp. Get some penalties.
Yeah.
But other than that, they've been relatively healthy defensively on the defensive side of the ball. Guys are always banged up this time of year. We haven't even talked about Julian Edelman, who was in a great mood today.
Was he?
Yeah, he was talking junk to Moose.
Oh, I saw that. I
And
saw that video.
he was screaming, "It's summer out here. It's so warm." I mean, it was like 45, but the sun was shining.
It was beautiful.
He was sort of rah-rahing the guys.
I like that. He must be feeling good and better, which is good because they basically rested him against the Dolphins.
Right. But he gets the way that he's been getting double teamed. There just aren't a lot of other options.
I know. And I think that's another storyline too about the Brady leaving, just to kind of bring this whole thing full circle, is like Julian Edelman's going to be 35.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a young player. So like,
yeah,
you know, that's just to kind of add
in the receiving,
right.
And then you see all these guys like A.J. Brown on the Titans, who's a rookie second rounder, and it's like, why can't we get? Even though they waste, I don't know if it's a waste yet to see on N'Keal Harry.
He was hurt the first 8 weeks.
But they used a first round pick on him, and now you're seeing DK Metcalf, all these guys doing great things as rookies. You're like, wow.
I know.
All right, game pick. Patriots. I actually think they're favored by 5, which I think is high. I would have said 3, maybe.
Correct. I think I have them winning by 2.
I have them winning 24-20.
I should have looked at my score before.
Back to the Patriot mystique stuff I was talking about. Listen, I think the defense is going to come back to life.
I do too.
They're either going to get a interception or a special teams play. Remember the first 8-10 games of the year? There was every week.
They needed it.
I think they'll need one of those. They'll win the turnover battle, and I think Brady's going to make enough of the good throws, throwback Brady performance, that they're going to win a close game, 24-20.
What I think was discouraging, the Patriots offense kind of won that Dolphins game. They did enough to win that game.
And they're like, all right, defense, stop them.
Regardless of Brady's inaccurate, rough performance, the offense did enough to win the game. The defense needed to get a stop. So I do think that the defense is going to show up and be invigorated, and they have so many phenomenal leaders in that locker room to kind of regroup. I just am bummed about the rest aspect of the first round bye.
It's not great.
I'm just bummed, and I think that catches up to you.
And you know what?
There's a reason why wildcard teams don't go far.
Yeah. So a team who hasn't had every Super Bowl since 2012 has been teams with byes. You have to go back to the Ravens in 2012 for a team that didn't have a bye. Yeah, you know why? Because now, I said this last night, it's not 3 games to glory, it's 4 games to glory. Mm-hmm. It's so hard, it catches up with you through injuries and just having to beat good teams. Assuming the Pats win, Kansas City, then you assume it's Baltimore,
Travel.
2 tough road games, then whoever's in the NFC in the Super Bowl. So I'm picking the Titans this week. As it stands now, I'm not going to have them winning Kansas City.
The Patriots. You just said Titans.
I'm sorry. I'm picking the Patriots to beat the Titans, and that's where it ends.
And that was kind of an underplayed storyline. Obviously, you wanted the Patriots to have that to miss out on wild card weekend, have the first round bye to get healthy, but no one was really being like, and then they'd have to go on the road to Kansas City. So if
you
they
play
lose,
a game and you're on the road as opposed to just being home.
That was just not really talked about. And Kansas City for your first road playoff game is no easy place to play. You saw that last year. So I will say this. I want to tell this funny story. I went to Miami for a few days because this was supposed to be my bye week. And I was visiting a friend, and on my flight down to Miami, I met this guy who was sitting next to me in the emergency row. Great seat choice.
No recline, no big deal.
No recline, but legs. Leg
What
room.
airline were you?
Southwest.
Got it.
So the guy sitting next to me is wearing Ravens. My layover's in Baltimore. Wearing all Ravens, everything. So I obviously want to chat. He was super friendly, such a nice guy. And we were talking about the Ravens, and they feel really good and confident, and they love this team, and it just feels like everything's happening for them. And whatever, we do our own thing on the whole flight. Whatever, we land. He turns on his phone, and he has a text from his mom, who ran into Lamar Jackson at Panera. He had just left his mom.
Panera in Baltimore?
Lamar Jackson having breakfast at Panera
oh my God.
with this sweet
Imagine
little
Tom
lady.
Brady going to Panera?
Unbelievable. And he has pictures from her. She had FaceTime the whole family. The mom had dropped him off at the airport and then went to Panera. So he was
Lamar Jackson.
So frustrated.
Was he cool?
Oh my God, he was so great. What do you think? You want to know more about what is a Ravens fan? You're a Maryland guy.
I have a ton of Maryland Ravens fans. They're obnoxious. They're like all fan bases.
I met a Bills fan this weekend. I feel like I haven't really actually met Bills fans. He was very nice and normal.
I sort of appreciate Bills fans because they're literally so desperate for just anything.
I have so much respect for that man.
The struggle. Once you've gone through the struggle, as a Red Sox fan pre-04, it just makes it that much better. Once you're spoiled,
100%.
each one is less enjoyable.
100%. And I feel like even as a media person that's only in my 3rd season covering the NFL, like I feel spoiled by the playoffs.
Right.
Like all year, I'm just like
Right.
planning on the playoffs. Like that's not
Yeah,
normal.
That's not normal. You
It's
could
wild.
be covering the Tampa Bay Bucks, who
True.
I think I jinxed the Pats with that screenshot.
I saw that.
The only teams not to play in wild card round are Tampa, Cleveland, and New England, and now New England's here.
Here we are at the end of the decade.
All right, so we have our pregame show Saturday night, kickoff 8:15, WPRI 12 locally. Then our postgame show.
Fans will be all lubed up, ready to go.
Saturday
You
night.
think there'll be a mosh for Brady? We got to get some Brady
There'll
chants
be a
going.
lot of Brady chants. A lot of,
Gotta
you
get
know,
the
what will
Brady
be
chants.
telling his running out of the tunnel. Is it a good fist pump? Is it an enthusiastic fist pump?
We know where you'll be, and that when he comes
40
running
minutes
out.
prior to kick, so we're going to be doing our pregame show. Damn it.
Oh,
We'll hear
sad.
it. We've done this before. We've been outside and we hear the Jay-Z song.
Allow me to reintroduce myself. Could be the last time you hear it, Jan.
That
Whoa!
would be a mosh.
Everything's gonna be like the last. I'm excited to experience with this with you because I feel like I'm a transplant here, but like you grew up
What
with
do you
this
think,
team
I'm
and
gonna cry
Brady.
in the news?
I'd
It's
just
one
be
thing
during
if
the
we
game.
knew definitively he was going to be done.
Yeah.
It's
I'll
gonna
let
be
it.
the
I'll let it
off-season
marinate.
The off season of is Brady coming or going?
Yeah.
But it was a
It'll be
little
interesting to
salty
see what
today.
happens with McDaniels too. I will say that.
So I thought it seemed like Cleveland was a home run hire. He's from Ohio. He loves Baker, allegedly. They have a lot of pieces offensively. But now there's issues over the GM and the power
Sure.
structure. So that's why Bill Belichick left the Jets 20 years ago, is because he wanted to do it all, and he wasn't going to get that. So sometimes if the situation isn't right.
100%. I think that's what happened in Indianapolis for him.
Sure.
LOL that just like went away. That he like totally screwed them over.
Yeah.
And that's just not a thing anymore. Everyone just kind of
It's
like.
like, oh,
let
he's
it go.
blackballed for life. Here he is.
He's clearly a brilliant mind.
He could be a coordinator for life, though, meaning, is he a
Right.
leader of men? Is he in the locker room? Like,
Right.
I think organizationally, tactically, he's great.
He's had a good situation.
But, like, Bill, like, this guy stinks with the press. He seems like a complete drag, and here he is 6
Right.
Super Bowls later. So you never
he
know.
stinks with the press.
Stinks with the press.
We
All
do
right.
love him, though.
That'll do it for New England Nation Double O.T. We hope to see you next week, previewing a Chiefs game.
We'll have to do a
Otherwise,
recap.
farewell.
We'll do a season
All right,
recap.
we'll do a season recap. Thanks for watching.